as I'm sure you've all guessed, this movie was mid. It was all over the place and had far too many characters for the simple reason of comic book movie, which just dragged it down, like way down. Anyways, let's do a quick and dirty recap of the plot. Kraven murders a guy in Russian prison. Then we cut to the origin story. Sergei and Dmitri are brothers who are taken on a hunting trip by their mobster father, Nikolai Kravenov. Here, Sergei can't bring himself to shoot a lion who is literally seconds from mauling him and his brother. And guess what? He gets mauled and dragged off. Anywho, there's this girl, Calypso, who saves him with a magic potion from her grandmother. Several days later, Sergei decides to leave home because their dad is not so nice. He leaves his little brother Dmitri there and goes to live in the middle of the woods. Here, he protects the land and lives in harmony with it, while also part-time murdering bad guys. Anyways, he tracks down that girl, Calypso, and turns out Russian prison guy from earlier murdered her friend. He wants to use her and her lawyering to help him track down more bad guys. She denies, stuff happens, and Dmitri, the brother, is kidnapped by Rhino. Sergei, now Kraven, tries to track down the Rhino, while a guy named the Foreigner tracks down Kraven. Blah blah, Kraven and Calypso end up in the woods at his house and a fight ensues. The Foreigner poisons Kraven, Calypso kills the Foreigner, and gives Kraven more potion. Kraven fights the Rhino, wins, and Dmitri is going grimdark. Kraven murders his father because he's the one that sold him out to the Rhino and almost got his little brother murdered. Dmitri is the chameleon and full villain arc now. Also, we never see Calypso again. So, yeah, there wasn't much going on there. The only redeeming quality of this movie was the amount of screen time Aaron Taylor Johnson's abs got. I was like a Victorian woman every time he was on screen. "Oh, good heavens, sir, you seem to have forgotten your shirt. What a tragedy." Yeah, that and a couple other scenes were the only ones keeping me watching. I think the script was probably the worst aspect of this movie, followed very closely by its horrendous dubbing, and also the half-baked acting, which both of that did not help the script one bit at all. Then, just as bad, it had way too many characters and did nothing with a single one of them. I mean, why was Calypso even in this movie? She was not even a character. She didn't even have any semblance of an arc. She showed up when it was convenient for the plot. Here, a potion. Here, let me kill this guy. Here, let me provide information. Also, do not get me started on Dmitri. He sped ran a villain arc in like 2 scenes. Like, it was so weirdly paced in there. And also, why was there like no plot for half the movie? Like, half the movie was like backstory, which I didn't mind, but it just wasn't the best backstory. Like, I felt like we could have had a little bit more in there. And then the last half of the movie was like all the plot at once. So it was just a mess. And I gotta say, it was not as bad as Madam Web, but it was definitely not good either. I'd say it sits right in between Madam Web and Gladiator 2. I mean, right in there. There's not a ton to say about this movie since it was just thoroughly right in the middle. It was not good, not awful. But I do have to say, Russell Crowe should probably play more Russian gangsters. And the dude that played Rhino killed it. I think he was probably the only one having fun. And very controversially, I think Aaron Taylor Johnson really had fun with his role, and I think he did the best with what he was given. I think he had the potential to be a really good Kraven. And the only person, other than those 3, working on this movie was the costume designers. I actually quite like the costume design for this. It did not suck as spectacularly as some other stuff. Madam Web. Anyways, Rune out.